Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I want to show you how you can build cohort analysis in Excel, but with the help of Power Query, especially for data that are quite large and may find it difficult to run in Excel. So here you're going to see how we use Power Query to do the cleaning and to do the data preparation, and then how we get it connected to Excel and then use it to plot to do this analysis that you find here. So we're going to do account analysis, we're going to do a percentage analysis, and we're going to do a volume analysis. And another thing you're going to benefit here is that um, the Excel 365 has got new functions that you can use to do all of this. So I'll be introducing you to the new functions, be exploiting the array capabilities of Microsoft Excel 365. So why not just sit back and let's get into the task. So here is the data that we want to work with. It's a retail transaction data set, and those are the headings. It's got just a million rows that are here, and I'll be putting a link to this data so that you can you can be able to practice what you watch. So it's also got a customers table here with all of these headings. Okay. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to build, like you just saw, the a cohort analysis. So we really do not need all of these columns, but we'll know how to work with them. So in this video, I want to show you how you can combine Excel and Power Query to solve this problem. And so this problem has been specifically taken because of the number of rows, almost the capacity of Microsoft Excel. Now, you can do this in Microsoft Excel, but you just have to have a very good processor, and your RAM should be high. I tried this with a 32 gig RAM, but still Excel struggles. And that is where Power Query comes in to help us to do something really, really good. So I'm going to open a new Excel worksheet, and I'm just going to close this other one, retail transaction data. I'm going to close it. So yeah, you can save that. So like you can see, it takes a good amount of time for it to process things, but it's faster with Power Query. So what I'm going to do here is that this is a new book. We're going to just try to bring in that data into this workbook. So here we are, the data tab, get from file, because I saved it in an all right, so let me just go to my home here, which in some cases would be recent for yours. And I'll just, I want to work with this one, import it. And so the connection builds and Power Query starts up. So here it is. Quite quickly, it gives it to us. I want these two of them, so I'm selecting multiple items, and I want to select these ones, and I want to get them in. Now you can see that what has happened is that I can see a sample of the first one, coming in. And I'm going to just click transform data. Okay. All right. Now that we've got it in, there might be just some little transformation to do. For example, here you can see that my column headers are actually the first row here. And then my column headers is just column one, column two. I want it to be this one. And so here on the transform, you will see use first role as header. I'm just going to click that and it's going to take care of this. Okay. Then that should be all for this. Then we come here. Uh, there isn't really much we want to do here, but the first thing we want to do here is to choose which columns we want to use in our analysis. So you have an icon here under manage columns. Here, if I just click on it, it's going to give me all the columns I have in this table. So I don't intend to use the customer name. Yes, I might use that date, transaction ID. I'm not going to use product, total items. I'm going to leave total cost because we're going to use it to try to explain how cost or revenue and others can be, analyzed using a cohort analysis. So I don't need the payment method CT. Does No, I don't think we need any of this. So we just need this four, and I'm just going to okay. So I now have four, and it helps if we want to load this into, Excel. We don't need to load everything into Excel. Now for this date, I would like to format it. Not just as date time, but just as date. So it appears just like this. And everything is fine. The dates are appearing just the way we want it. So the next thing that I want to do, because I want to come up with two dates columns. You get it, two dates columns, and that is what helps us to build a pivot table. Sorry, a cohort analysis. That's what helps us to build it. So this date is going to be helpful in us coming about all of that. Okay. So the first one, you could see that this on the 21st, this is on the third, sorry, this is on the first, this is on the 31st, and so on like that. Now, for each of the rows, I would love to have a column, and I'm going to call that column months. That month's column, we want the last date of any particular month in this row. So once again, what we actually wanted to do is that if this 21st of March, we want it to give us 31st of March. So we want the last day of every month. We want the date of the last day of every month. Now, why are we doing that? Simply, we want to recognize all the transactions that happened within that month, and then we use that for our cohort analysis. So how do we achieve that? So here in the home, we go to add columns. And so the column we want to add, we want to use a custom formula to do this addition. So this is going to be known as cohort. No, let's call it just months. Let's call it just months. And what we're going to do is that we're going to use a function in Power Query, and that function is from the dates, and we're going to just check end of month, date end of month. So that is just what we actually need. And there's an open and close bracket. Within that open and close bracket, we want to put in this date field inside it. So that's what it's going to be. I'm just going to click OK. And so you would see that what it has is the end of the month. So this helps us to group based on that end of month thing. You get it? We are able to achieve that using this. Now, the second thing we're going to do is also a date column, but it's going to be different because in cohort analysis, we're interested in finding when was the first day that any given customer started to carry out transactions with the business. So if we find out when was the first month he or she started transactions with the business, we try to track, you know, how many months after that month where the individual still continues, to do transactions with the business. Almost often, we use the cohort analysis to, do analysis of retentions, you know, analysis to see, okay, um, is there a comeback? Is there patronage over time? You get it? So we always want to see from when it started and then into the future. Okay, so what we're going to do here is going to find how to identify when each customer started with the business. So every transaction have got dates. All we need to do is find out what is the first date for every customer. Now you want to recall that in Excel, in fact, in the data analysis, dates are numbers. You get it, dates are numbers. And so it's possible for us to find what is the minimum date for any individual, from the past. And you can also have what's the maximum date. So we're going to exploit that to create what we have now. Now to do that, I need to create another column. I need to create another column here. And one of the things I need to do, so I don't want to use the customer name to do that. So before we create that column, it will be nice for us to bring in the customer ID into this table. Okay, so now to do that, we need to do a merge. So I'm going to do a merge, and I'm going to use the retail table, and I'm going to bring in the customer ID. Okay. So what are the matching? Now this data uses customer names. In real world, customer names are not good identifiers. You get it? They are not good identifiers because you could have one person. I mean, you could have more than one person bearing the same name. For example, uh, uh, I know four of us all over the world that bears my name, except for maybe my second given name and so on that makes a difference, So it's not always the best thing. If you've got a customer ID, that can work. If, for example, we are looking at automated teller machine data, then we might want to look at what are the card IDs and things like anything that can uniquely identify apart from names will just be the best. But that's not a show blocker in helping us to do our cohort analysis. So I'm just going to select the customer name here and the customer name here because that is where we find for now, that is what we can use to relate these two tables together. All right. And for the join type, yes, I'm going to leave it as a left outer. And it says all from the first. So all from the first is going to come out and then matching from the second. And then anything that matches from the second is going to come out and it's going to put, add it to this, the first table. So we're just going to say okay. And so what we get is this. Now what I'm going to do is, you see, this is different from this. Why this is a filter button? This is like an expand button. So I'm going to just click on this expand button. And yes, we want to expand it, but I don't want the names again. I just want the IDs. All right. So we're going to just accept this. And what's going to happen is that we are going to have all of those IDs come out as the last column here. So it's going to take some time, but there is it. We already have it there. So let me just make this one customer ID, and that is it. And maybe we just move it down here. So everything I'm doing is recording here. You can see that reorder column because I moved it down here. You can see the reorder column that is there. Okay. So now we can create our cohorts. So every time a lot of people hear cohort, you could check in dictionary, see what it means, but it just tries to identify a group of persons who are identifiable to a particular period. So for example, you could have maybe 10, 20, 1,000, 2,000 persons that started, transacting with the business in January. So they become a cohort. Those in February, they become a cohort. Now, if you want to do it annually, so everybody who started transacting with the business in 2001 would be a cohort because they're identifiable to that period. They started that period. Everybody in 2022, these ones also are a cohort. You get it. Just things like that. The analysis we're doing here is it's monthly. You get it. So let's just go deep and try to do what was the first date for every individual that is here. What was the first date? Now, to do that, I would need to, I would need to duplicate this table. So I'm going to duplicate it. It's going to give me a duplicate. So here is the duplicate that it has given us. I'm going to rename it. So it is giving us a name. I'm just going to call it a retail transact um, cohort. Cohort. So it's a retail transact cohort. That's the table. So here in this table, I'm going to take out columns I don't need. I actually just need the customer ID, and so I need this table. All right. So here, what we're doing is that we're going to take out some of this column. We actually need this column, and I'm going to hold down my control button and click this column. So these are the these are the two columns that we're going to use. So we want to remove all other columns, and this is where we are. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do a grouping. You get it? We're going to do a grouping. So we want to use this group here. So we're going to group, and it's going to be a basic grouping, and the customer ID will be the basis for our grouping. And what will be the name? We're going to call the name of the column cohort. And what operation do we want to do? We actually want to use the mean. So we want to use the minimum of the dates. So for each individual, the minimum date that we find in the data is what we just want to pick. So I'm going to pick this. And so it says, which column are you doing this? Certainly not the customer ID column, but the months. So, okay, we're going to okay this. And so what it's going to do is going to bring us a unique list of customer IDs. And it's also going to give us the initial date, the first date or the first month that the individual started transacting, you know, with the business. So here we are. It has done that for us for each and every one. So you can see that this first person, nothing is duplicated here, just this particular one that is here, and you can see the initial date in which they started. Okay, so that gives us, this table. And finally, I want to create another query that is going to bring is going to bring these dates into our, major table. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just, create a new one this time, and that's the one we're going to be working with. This is going to be the table that we'll be working with. So it's going to bring in our it's going to bring in our data set. That's this first one where we already have much of what we need. You see the months is there. So we just want to bring the cohort months in there. So we're going to just bring in this one, you see here. And like you can see, I now can use the customer ID as the columns that relates to two of them. And Yeah, this one is okay. Almost often we're doing a left outer join. And so that is exactly what we want to do. So I'll just click on OK here and tell it to do that. It's going to give us a new one, and that would be the one that we would be using. So here it is. It has given us, it calls it merge one. So we're going to just call it retail transact, or any name that you feel is ideal. Um, let's call it two, retail transact two. So that would help us to identify it. But you would see that it has given us a table here. It's a table. So what you have here is actually what is coming from our merge. So it has merged it. It has told us that, oh, we've got a table here, and we're going to expand that table. I don't want the customer ID. I just want the cohorts. So the cohort months is what I really want. So I've selected that, and here it is. So it's going to give us that. All right. So here it is. It's giving us that. And we already see what it's coming out to be. So right now, we really do not need this particular column. So we're just going to remove that column. We don't want it to, and so okay, let's leave the transaction ID. We may be able to use that. All right, and here, so I think we've got everything we need now. We really don't need this now again, so I'm just going to remove that one too. So this is all what we need. We need the months column. This is the months where transactions are taking place. You get it? So you can see it's the end of the month dates that we have there. And then we have the cohorts. So I'm just going to leave this as cohorts. Yeah, so it should just be cohorts. So these would be what we use to do our analysis. Just three. So if we have the customer ID and we have the cohorts, we should be able to come up with our with our cohort analysis. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to load it. So I'm going to just go to load, close, and load tool, not load, because if you click the load, it would bring all the table into Excel. So we don't want to do that. What we want to do is that we just want to click only create a connection. So we're going to have it create connection for us, and I'm going to just do the okay. So we would have said that, okay, take this to tables and they will all come as tables, as pivot reports and so on, but just this because we want to manage what loads into Excel. So what it does is that it creates a connection for us like this. Now why this is best is because recall that we want to use our retail transaction too, and that is just what we want to load into Excel, coupled with the fact that it's quite about a million rows. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just right click here. And so you just check through all of these places. And as you check through, you're going to see the load tool. And I'm going to just click on this one and tell it that it should load it as a table for me. So I don't get everything loaded, but I just get only this particular one loaded to the table. So I'm going to just OK, and it's going to take some time, and definitely we would have the table loaded. All right, so here it is, and we've got it loaded in here. We still have all what we have in here. So right now we can start building our cohort analysis. Now, if you look through the dates, if you look through the dates, any of them, you would see that it's from 2020 to 2024. So we're going to build a cohort analysis that we can easily use to look at what's happening in each of the year. All right. So we'll start by let's use 31st 31st January dash 2020, which is the first year that is used there. I'm going to just color this with a color like a blue, you know. So let's do this and this. So I'm going to just do this way. And the reason I'm doing that is because you may want to just change it there and you want your cohort analysis to also respond based on that. So we're going to create, so what we're going to do is that we're going to create, use the EO month function. The EO month function is end of month function because we have been able to classify all our transactions by end of month. So we're going to just use the year month function. It says start date. This is our start date, comma, and then number of months. Because we want to get the next month, we are going to use a one. So this is what we just need to do. So it's a date is a it comes as a number, you know, but you would see that it has a date. So I'm not going to use, it's not going to have a field, and it's just going to be normal like this. So I'm just going to extend this one in order for me to get at least 12 months. Okay. And let's just, you know, select 8 and then let's format it so that it shows just the month and the year. So here we are, the month and the year, so that it's easy on the eyes, you know, it's easy on the eyes to read. So we don't need this one. So this one is going to be the months, months, and I'm just going to do something here. I'm going to, I'm introducing the letter U in here, but I want just this U to have a different font style, which I normally use for more illustrations. So the wingding 3 helps me to do just this. So this is what I want to do. So I'm just using it to show that this is the months. I'm going to just leave one row here. This one is going to be the cohorts. And I think that's Q. We're just going to do a Q here. I'll test it to see if it gives me that. So same thing, I want to use the wingding, and this beautiful. So this is going to be our cohort month. So they are months, they are periods, and I always like them to show because you have some where to use 0, 1, and all of those type of things. But I think it's more descriptive when we use the months to show this. So it's also going to start with this. So anytime you change this, this definitely will change. And so we're going to use the same formula that we used here, and we're going to bring it here, except that it is no longer looking at this, but looking at this. So that's it. Just format it to look this way, and let's drag it down and down. Okay, so these are the months. Everything you see here is what happened with persons who started transacting with the business in January 2020. Okay, so that is, that's just what they are. These started transacting business in February and just like that. But we want to know, did they transact business in January? Of yes. What about this one? Did they come back in February? Did they come back in March and all of that? So that is why we have these are months and these are cohorts. Okay. Now we need to bring in the values in. And there are many videos that talks about cohort analysis. But I'm making these videos exploiting some of the new functions that Microsoft has brought into Excel, and that make it really, really good for us to do this kind of tax. All right. So these were not formatted as dates. We're going to just format them. They should be dates. All right. So good, good. So they're formatted as dates here. We could also do this ones to have that just for uniformity. Yeah, but that doesn't really matter. You get it, but just for them to be uniform, that's it. All right. So now what we want to do, we want to use our filter function to do this. So we want to say filter, you know, we want it to filter this. I'm going to just come down, Control Shift and up. So take everything up. I want you to just take this one. That's what I want you to filter. And what are the conditions that I want it to do? So for months, I want it to, you see, so I'm going to take this one. I'm going to go right down, Control Shift and up. I'm doing this because I always want it to come to the top where I'm doing my analysis. So this must be equal to this January. You get it? It must be equal to January. And because I will want this formula to come down, I need to lock this row. You get it? With a dollar sign before the role identity. So the role identity here is 3, and I'm going to lock it that way. All right. Now that I have done that, um, I need 2 conditions. So this is just the first condition. And if you want to use, because by default, the filter function requires you to bring in just 1 condition. Now we want to make something like a mega condition now. So I'm going to just, I'm just putting a bracket around this condition I've given, and I'm going to put an asterisk. An asterisk. So an asterisk means and. Treat this condition and this other condition. So the other condition is going to be this. I'm going to just go down at the end of my data and up. I'm just going to select the dates. And for this one, I want it to be equal to the cohort. So month cohort and also equal to the cohort months. All right, here. So this is what it is. And I really will want it to be looking at this column irrespective of how I copy to my right hand side. You get it. Again, I'm going to have a bracket around these ones. And so I have 2 conditions, but remember filter wants 1 condition. So I'm going to put a bracket, you know, all around it, sometimes called parentheses, and then all around it. So it becomes 1 whole condition. Do this and this. And before we have a closing bracket, the closing bracket should be a black one. And so that closes it right there. So when I do this, I'm going to hit my enter button. So what you see is that we've got these numbers. So it has been able to filter all the IDs that did transactions, during that period, like this. But one thing you will notice is that we've got situations where we have duplicates. You can see this. We've got situations where we have duplicates you know and that's why I didn't want to use something like the count ifs because I know there are going to be duplicates, and that's where this becomes very, very powerful. So what I need to do in the first function is that I need to bring a unique. So there's a new function called unique that we can bring in, and what unique will do is that it's going to take out all the duplicates so they appear once. We just want to know if this person did at least 1 transaction in that month, and that's what we want to analyze in a cohort analysis. We're not looking at how many times he did a transaction within that particular month, but that he was present at all shows retainership. You get it? So that's what we're trying to look at here. So now it gives us this. We can, you see, all of this, it's got a string C and it's got numbers in there. So I'm going to use the counter function, count. I'm going to use the counter function. It's becoming a mega formula, but you know how we got to this. And so I'm going to just enter. So it now gives me the total number of persons that started doing business with this, company. So that's what it's giving us. And so what I just need to do is to, this formula is going to be all, I'm going to get it into all the sheets. So here. So I've copied it and I'm just going to paste it like this, so it's uh, it's going to do the necessary computation and then it's going to tell us. So this gives us this is how a cohort analysis look like. You get it? So it's telling us that we have this number of persons that came in and then by the next month it reduced to this. So we let me just let's just do this so that we can have some brackets as commas. So we had 17,000 persons who came in the first month, January. By February, those who came in January, we just had 2,389 of them, and we had it drop, some increase here, drop, and just like that. So this cohort, it tells us that everybody who came in January, every unique individual that came in January, how many of them came back to do business? You get it? So a test of patronage. And everybody who came in February, the month of February, how many of them do we still have in the business, transacting with us and so on. So that's exactly what this one gives us. And sometimes we want to eliminate this one that is here because nothing is really happening in all of these places. So one thing we might do is to use our, custom, to find a custom number that can easily do this job for us. You get it? So we're going to come here and I'm going to take out this. So this does for a positive number, this does for a negative number. And I'm going to just say that anywhere you see one like this, just use something like this there. Let's see if it will work. I think it's something like this that does it. All right. So what I'm so I'm so I'm just going to take out all of this, and definitely everything is positive numbers. So I'm going to come here and say that if you find a number that is one, you see, if you find a number that is one, just keep it blank, keep it empty, else you want to do this for me. All right, let's see how that works. So that works, okay? So we have this. So many like their cohort analysis to come in this format. So here it is. We've got a cohort analysis going on. So let's try to see what happens if we change. So if we go to 2021, it's going to change for us. And so you can see now that it has changed and it has told us what exactly is happening. And that's the way you find it for all others. So 2022, and we're going to see some changes, happening for 2022. All right. All right. So let's go to our 2021 or 2020 rather. I think it's 2020 I wanted to put in. 2020. Okay. So it's more like if this business started at 2020, got a lot of rush in, patronage and all of that, because we see this was like 17, thousand. And these are, see what happens over time. The following month, we had 14,000 new persons, 13, 12, 11, 10, 10, 9, 8, 8, 8, and something like that. So quite a good number of persons are coming in to do transactions for the first time. But we're looking at how do you hold these customers, over time, and that is what this is all about. Now, sometimes, you know, this could just be account analysis. Account analysis, so make this bold, maybe we just make this dark red. So this might just be account analysis. Let me just move it somewhere here. All right, account analysis. And sorry, just don't mind my wanting to, you know um, just aesthetics, just something like this. So count analysis done there. We would want to do a percentage analysis just below it. And so this is how we do the percentage analysis. So we're going to have these months. I'm just going to reference it here, you know, and just down. Then I'm going to just come here and reference all of these ones here and down, just yeah. And so haven't done this referencing. Yeah, we could just going to just use this one, get this format and put it here. So this is going to be a percentage analysis. So this is going to be a percentage analysis. And what we're going to do is that so this is what happens in the cohort analysis. We're trying to find what is the percentage of these people over the total that started it. Was the percentage of this over the total that started this? Was the percentage of this over the total that started this? You get it? So one thing that you get to see is that we can actually get the total from each line, simply by saying that this is equal to the max of any particular line like this. So hit this is going to give me the maximum, and just like that, it can give me the maximum that is in there. Now, this is not where we're going to. You remember that this maximum is the basis, it's going to be our denominator. It's what we're trying to use to divide to find out. So our numerator, in other words, what is going to be divided is going to be any of these numbers. Now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to come here and I'm exploiting the array capabilities of Microsoft Excel. I'm going to come here and say that open a bracket. I'm going to select all of this. I'm going to select all of this again. I'm going to close it here. You get it? And I'm going to do a divide. So this first one is looking at what is the max. And because I want it, to stay, I'm going to be looking at it from each of these columns like this. That satisfies my need. It's going to give me the maximum of any of this. While this one is actually looking at the entire numbers here, but it will find out the percentage for me of each of them. So see what I'm talking about? So if I click on it like this is what it actually brings out for me, okay? And so we can easily make this percentage. You get it? So it gives me what is the percentage of it. Let's just, so that you don't think all of these are the same. So you can see that there's little difference. So that's because you can see that they're about 2000, 2000, and all of that. You get it. So this helps us to get it in percentage. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this down, and then it's able to give us and tell us that this is what it is. So let's put this in percentage. Now, I want you to notice all of these ones that you see. They are not exactly zeros. You get it? They are not exactly zeros. And we're going to take care of that soon. So I'm just going to make a percentage, and you can see what the percentage is, all of this. So um, most of the time, cohort analysis would want to eliminate all this place. So you think they are zeros, but they are not really zeros. So we're going to do something related to what we did here. So if I come here, you see what we did here. We're going to do something like that for this one in order to eliminate it. So see how I do it. So I'm going to select all of it. I'm going to come here, go to custom. This is what is here already. So I'm going to tell it that first, I need you to test for something. I need you to test where any of these numbers is less than, 0.01. That's what I wanted to do. So if it is like that, just give me, you know, just give me a blank. So quotation marks gives me a blank, and I need to put a semicolon to separate them. You get it? I need a semicolon to separate them. So I'm just going to okay this, and then you see that these are out of it. So let's have this to be dark, and this one also to be dark. So here you can see that I have successfully created a cohort analysis, the count analysis, the percentage analysis. We've been able to get it. All right. Now, sometimes it is not just the count analysis that matters. Sometimes it's the volume, transaction volume that matters, because we might say that, okay, 17,000 persons came, but the volume of transactions that we got from them are just what these other ones are giving us approximately. You get it? So that's something we need to, find out and see. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just come here, just take this whole one. I'm going to copy it and bring it somewhere down here. Okay. So I'm going to bring it somewhere down there. Oh, I missed it by. So just cut it and so it aligns. Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring it somewhere here. We're not going to be using all of this again. Let's just take these ones out. Yeah. So now I'm here. Now, what I actually want to do is no longer a count. What I want to do is a sum if. So I'm going to take this out and say that sum ifs. Here we can use the sum ifs because we want to look at what is the transaction volume. And so for this data set that I have, the only column that helps me to see transaction volume is here. So I'm going to just um, I want to take everything, Control Shift, my arrow up button. I only want to select the values. So I want you to sum ifs. This is my sum range. So let me just bring it here. So my sum range, I've satisfied that requirement. And then what's the criteria one and what's the criteria two? So criteria one is this. I'm going to Control Shift and the arrow up button and a little down. So I wanted to use this one, so this is one criteria region, and I wanted to test if it is equal, to my months. So I want to test if it's equal to my months. I'm going to lock it to that row because when I copy down, I want it to be looking at that row. But when I copy to my right, I want it to be change from January, February, and all of that. So this is, I want it to be equal to this. And then the next one here, and go all up, come down one cell down. And this particular one, I want it to test it if it is equal, if it is equal uh, to this particular one. And again, here I want to lock the column because once I shift to my right hand side, I want it to lock to this column, to this particular column that we are in. And these other ones could change, but just lock to this column. So this is what I want to, test and tell it to sum whatever comes out from there. All right, it says you enter too few arguments. Let's see. Um, oh, sorry. All right. So I was writing like if it was the filter function. So this is it. All right. So now we have this. We're just going to um, we're just going to copy this, copy it, and we're just going to replicate it, all of these places. So you see nothing gets there. I'm going to copy this one, and I just want to replicate it all through here. Okay. All right. So this is what really happened. So I got about 1 million here, and it has come down to 107, and just like that. So I'm going to change this to be volume analysis. Volume analysis. Okay. So this is volume analysis. What's the transaction volume in dollar, in whatever currency that there might be? So it appears like this. Now again, if we're so keen at changing these ones, we could still exploit that which we did previously. Okay. So let's look at this here, and so likely those numbers are not exactly one, so let's use a less than, sorry, a less than one here, and okay, and it takes them out correct. So here we have it, and we're able to see what the volume analysis could be. Also, you can, on the basis of this, do a percentage analysis on volume. You'll see this percentage analysis on counts, okay, on counts, and this you could also have a percentage analysis on your volume, your volume analysis. So this is how cohort analysis is done. Once again, what we are just looking at is how many persons who started in a particular cohort or a particular time period, how many of them were we able to retain over time. You get it? So that's exactly what we're doing here. What is the volume of transactions that we have, and how do this volume, you get it? How does this volume translate to what percentage are we, getting over time? And now this cohort analysis can be used for a lot of things, because if I know how much I have gotten from all of the customers, because for this particular year, this total is what I've gotten from all of the customers. That's about 3 million, and if I should divide it with this number of persons here, we actually get about the average, um, average we can get annually from a customer. So that's like an average. And that average can help us to calculate the customer lifetime value and whatever it is with regards to analyzing customer patronage, analyzing the value that comes from the from all of your customers over time, and so. So I think this is what we have. This is the video I wanted to, show to you. Um, let's just have these ones here. Um, and all right, there, good. So I just hope you're able to use it to learn how to build cohort analysis, and especially for data that exceeds 1 million, you can use this approach to get it into your use it for your analysis. Most of the time, it may not get to that many rows, and so you can work within Excel. If it goes beyond 1 million, then most likely you want to take it to Power BI. So in Power BI, you'll be doing the same exact thing. It's more like a pivot table. So a matrix table can help you to create something like this, and show it as a percentage of the total, and just like that you can actually do it. So that's the much for this video. I'd like you to subscribe if you find it valuable, so that you can enjoy more of my videos. And if you don't mind, just share it. If you feel it's good information, please share it. And thank you for doing all of that. See you in another video.